everyone, it's Clarke here for Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. I'm going to be creating a layout today. I'm going to be using this beautiful 4x6 photograph. I'm also going to be creating with the beautiful Simple Stories, Simple Vintage 'Tis the Season collection. This is just one of my most favorite collections from this holiday season that's going to be coming up here. I picked out some patterned paper from the 8x6 paper pad, and I also chose this cut file from Paige Evans. It's called Christmas Trees, and I've cut that from some white cardstock, and now what I'm going to do is back it with the patterned papers from the 8x6 paper pad. So what you're going to see me doing is gluing the cut file onto the pattern paper and then trimming around the cut file edge. And what I could have also done with this is traced and cut the cut file again just by cutting out the outline of the cut file with some pattern paper, and then I could have backed it all in one go. But I really wanted the pattern papers to be different patterns. So if you want to achieve that, you either have to put this into the silhouette and cut each individual tree outline, which I could have done, but I also just kind of really like the idea of doing it this way, which I feel like really didn't take me that much time. So here you can just see what I'm doing is just putting my scissors against the edge of the white paper so that it just kind of goes slightly underneath the paper. And then it just trims out that patterned paper to fit perfectly behind the cardstock. I do apologize. There will be a few little moments here where my camera goes blurry. I do have a new camera system that I'm working with in my craft space. And so I'm just trying to kind of get used to that. So I do apologize every once in a while. I think my shot does go out of focus. So I did want to use a variety of different papers. Like I said, I didn't want to use all the same. So here you can see I'm using one of the dot papers. This is actually a 12 by 12 from the, this is the solids paper pack that coordinates with the 'Tis the Season Simple Vintage collection. And so I just really love that red dot. I thought that was so pretty. It's actually kind of a cranberry color. And then I also really liked this paper here, which has just this really distressed look. It kind of looks like a bunch of book paper collaged together. Then I really love this diagonal stripe, and I wanted this to be the backing for the biggest tree that's in the center. So I'm only actually going to use this diagonal paper for just this center tree, and then I'll repeat the paper patterns that are already there. So I'll go ahead back to that plaid green one, and I'll use it for this next tree, and then I'll use the dot paper again, and then I'll use that really cool distress collage paper. So again, here you can just see I'm just putting the glue on the back of the cut file, laying the cut file onto the pattern paper, giving it a really good press. Then I'll take my scissors and trim around the outside edge of each of those different trees once the pattern paper is glued onto the back of the cut file. So I do really love using cut files when I create. This is one of my go-tos. Cut files became trendy a few years ago, and for me, they've never lost their appeal. I love the way that they make a design just come together so easily, and there's so many amazing cut files out there. You can download cut files also from the Scrapbook and Cards Today website, and I just love, Paige's cut files are just always so gorgeous. She just is so amazing at creating her cut files. So I just really liked this one. I love that it is sized so that it goes all the way across the entire layout. So there it is, all finished. Love that. I think it's just a really, really beautiful piece. Now I'm taking a piece of 12 by 12 basil cardstock here. And I think this is Basil Avalanche, so it's a textured white cardstock. I'm going to trim this paper down to 11 inches by 11 inches. I always like to curl the paper up and make sure that the ends are the same width, just to make sure that I actually cut the paper straight. I do take a little bit of time to do this to make sure that I do get it straight, but that's what I was doing there. So now I'm thinking about what do I want to use as a mat for this white paper for my layout. So I do want to frame the layout in with that pattern paper. So I did put the diagonal paper behind there in the 12 by 12, and I just felt like that was a little bit too busy. So you'll see me trying some other papers here from the 12 by 12 paper collection. I do have the smaller collection pack in my stash, and so I did want to just try a few other papers to just make sure. So I think I'm just grabbing those other papers at this point and trying to decide what I want. So I really like this soft green as well. It coordinates nicely with the papers that I've used to back the trees. Of course, that diagonal paper has all of the colors in it, so really it doesn't matter which one I pick, it should coordinate nicely. But I just didn't want it to be too busy. So I do like that soft green one, but I really love this plaid one. I think it's gorgeous. It's not too subtle, but it's subtle enough. I did also really like the dot. I thought it was really pretty. I could have used that as well, but I did feel like there was a lot of red going on there, and I just wanted to maybe accentuate the greens a little bit more for the mat for the project. So I am going to, in fact, go with this green plaid, but I did go back to the dot again just to make sure. And I just I like doing that in my process, just trying things out, putting things into place and trying them and just letting my eye decide. And sometimes what I'll do too is I'll take a photograph of it and see what the camera tells me, what the photograph tells me. I also look at, when I'm filming, what the recording looks like when I'm looking at it sometimes, instead of taking a photo of it. So here I'm just going to take that branding strip off of that green diagonal plaid. I love this paper so much. It's got a little bit of distressing on the edges, you know, in the true simple vintage style from Simple Stories. I always love these collections from Simple Stories. I think that they're always beautiful. They do such a really great job of making these papers vintage looking without being like too over the top, if you know what I mean. I just think that they're just perfect. So I really love this one. I am going to use it, but I'm also going to take out the center of it because I do want to use this paper also as a photo mat for that beautiful 4x6 photograph here. So you'll just see me gutting the paper, so to speak, taking the center out of it so that I can use that paper as a mat. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some scrapbook.com adhesive on the back of the white paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and get that paper around the outside edges there because I do want to take the center out of this plaid paper. So I don't want to put any adhesive in the center of the white paper because there won't be anything for it to stick to. So I'm just going to put this into my Fiskars trimmer here, and you'll just see me here using the trimmer to take that center out. I do really like doing this because I find that it does allow me to save a little bit of the paper. No one's ever going to see the back of this layout, so it doesn't matter what the back of it looks like. And so I'm quite happy to gut that paper and then just use that square border there as the mat for my project. So now I've got that all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and take that white paper, and I do have the adhesive on that already. I'm going to take a little moment here to really make sure that I get this straight. And I do make sure that I take my ruler. I don't think I show this on camera, but I do take a ruler and measure all the way around the layout to make sure that it is the same border all the way around, to make sure that it's just perfectly centered. There we go with that cut file. I just love how that looks. It's so pretty. And now really, you know, you can just see how gorgeous that cut file is on the layout, and just it does so much work to really establish the design for the project. So I really love a cut file. Now I'm just going to take some dimensional adhesive and pop it in behind the cut file now that I have that cut file straight. I do believe I did use my T-square ruler to make sure that I had this straight. Again, I do apologize for that camera. I think maybe I need to adjust the focus on it a little bit, but it does tend to kind of go in and out of focus slightly. So that is annoying. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep going with adding that foam adhesive. And I did want to make sure that I added it to kind of the middles of the trees and then the stars as well. And I do end up going in with some rub-ons later, and I do have to release those little bits of foam here and there, but I will show you how I do that. It's actually a really good hack, and so I'll show you that in a minute if you ever have to do that. So Here you can just see I'm finishing that up, and that will mostly complete the dimension that I'm looking for there. Now I did add a little bit of craft foam onto the back of my photo just to bump it up a little bit, and now I'm just measuring with a pencil and that paper that I used, that I gutted from the center of my mat, and I've marked it with that pencil there. I'm just going to use my trimmer here to line up those pencil lines, and that's going to be the mat for my photo. So here we just have some nice repetition there of that pattern from the mat on the outside edges of the layout, and now we've got that same paper for the photo mat here as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this really sweet little photo down, just making sure that I get this centered. And once I'm happy with where that is, I'll give that a good press, and I will be ready to go on to the next step. Now I did want to use these gorgeous foam stickers from the collection. I wanted to use this word joy just because I really love, first of all, I think the word is perfect for the layout. And I also really love the font of that word and how it's just going to fit perfectly at the bottom of the photo. So I'm just going to trim around that acetate backer, the packaging that word is on, just to grab that off of there. And what I'm doing here really is I'm just going to release that so that I can hold it over the layout and make sure that I like the looks of it. So I won't take it off of there until I'm perfectly happy with that being the one that I'm going to use, because these sticker sheets have so many different options. I love that about the Simple Stories foam sticker sheets. When I purchase a collection, I almost always buy these foam stickers just because they're so good. So I just love how that joy looks. I think it's perfection for the title for the layout. I'm going to use a little bit of foam adhesive for the bottom portion of the photo, because where I'm adhering it to, it's already bumped up. So I just want to make sure that it has the same level of dimension as the cut file, since the cut file already has foam adhesive behind it. I won't even put any on the top of the photo. I'll just adhere the bottom to the white cardstock there. Now I did make a little mark on my project here. I'm not sure if you can see it, where the center is of the white paper. And now I'm just finding the center of the photo with my centering ruler, and I'll just line up those two lines just to make sure that the photograph is in fact in the center. I do believe that the middle of that center tree is also the middle of the layout. So I do have to move the photo over to the left a little bit, and then that's going to center it. Now I'll go ahead and give that foam adhesive a good press. For the same reason, I'm adding foam adhesive to the bottom of that joy sticker. And now I'm just going to find the center again of the paper and line up the letter O in joy with the center, and then that is all going to be nicely center justified on the project. So now I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, what else do I want to add? I know that I want to add some other things. I do want to add some of these foam sticker stars, but I don't want to put them up there where the trees stars are, just because I feel like there's already enough stars up there. So I'm going to put one to the right of the word joy and one to the left. And I believe I add another star on the top of the photograph in a little bit. Now, I love the rub-ons from Simple Stories. I think they're just beautiful. And I definitely wanted to add some of the kind of like the grungy looking rub-on that was part of that sheet. So what I'm going to do is you'll just see me there, slide it into the area that I want it. Very easy to do this. I like to do this after I've kind of more or less planned out and designed the layout, just because if I don't, sometimes I don't always get the rub-ons in the right spot. So this is a good way to make sure that you get your rub-ons where you want them. Now I'm just rubbing fairly aggressively with that popsicle stick, and I'll just grab the release paper from the paper here, and I just wanted to go back in and make sure everything is transferred onto my white cardstock there. Use my Crafter's Companion tweezers just to lift that release paper off. I'm going to take the larger rub-on that's very similar to the one that I just added, and I'm going to add that to a few areas as well. So I'll just go ahead and add that onto the paper behind some of these trees. Now, this is where I have to take my spatula. This is a tool that I use for my silhouette all the time, but you can slide that under your foam adhesive and just pressing really hard down towards the paper. You can release your foam adhesive in that way, and it just is an easy way of doing that. So now what I'm going to do is just slide that rub on kind of in behind that area, and then I'll go ahead and transfer that rub on to those spots there, and that's just going to add that little bit of detail in behind those trees and stars. And I love how that looks. It just gives it that vintage look. And I could have 1,000 of these Simple Stories rub-on sheets. They are amazing. They're so, so good. I just find that they just add that little bit of extra pizzazz to a project. And this one happens to be really nice and subtle. It works just beautifully for a little bit of background detail. So again, you can just see me here working vigorously to press that down. I'll just take my craft pick this time and lift that up. And not everything is going to transfer here, but I'm totally fine with that because you'll see me then taking the remainder of what's left on there. I don't waste any of it. I will put it down in another couple spots on the project and transfer it in a couple of other areas there just to add that little bit of detail. So I'll add a little bit over to the left of the photo, just in that area there. And then I'll add a little bit up to the right by the trees that are up there. And that is going to be all of the rub-on work that I do on this project, but I just love what it adds for subtle detail there to the project. So I'll just finish that up, and then that is completely exhausted. I do believe I've used up all that entire rub-on section of the rub-on sheets. So now I'm just taking a look at it and I'm thinking, okay, I want to add a little more detail down to the area where the word joy is. So I'm looking at all of the different elements that I have from the collection. I think at this point I'm going to add another star up top. So I'm going to put that green star up there. And now at this point is where I'm thinking about what else can I add. And so I'm actually going to grab some stickers off of the 12 by 12 sticker sheet that's part of the collection. Just going to give these stars a good press and just make sure that I've got them where I want them. Let's move that one over a little bit just so that that red star and the green star aren't completely lined up. And now I've taken this little candle, which I think is really great because the little girl in the photo does have a candle in her hands. And so I am going to just put this cardstock sticker here beside that star, just overlaying it slightly over top of the rub-ons. And then I thought I wanted another sticker, so I'm adding a sticker to a phrase sticker from the sticker sheet over there to the right of the photo. And just gonna use my tweezers to help me get that placed. And once I'm happy with where that's going, then I'm going to add a little bit of chipboard. So I'm going to just use a little chipboard Christmas tree here for this area here, just slightly to the right of that candle. I did pop that up on a little bit of foam adhesive to give it some dimension. And I really like how that finishes that area off. Now for journaling, you definitely could add some journaling to the left of the word joy in that white space there. I also wanted to add some white splatter to finish off my project, and I'm pretty generous with my Dina Wakley gloss spray here in white. I'm just picking it up with my fine brush and giving a good splatter all over the whole project. I did cover up my photo and anything with text on it so that nothing gets distorted as far as the text is concerned, and of course I don't want white paint on my photograph. So once I have those sheets removed, now you can see the finished project. Thank you so much for joining me today, friends. I had so much fun working with this Simple Stories Simple Vintage 'Tis the Season collection. It is absolutely stunning. Make sure you check out the description box below for all of the details. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.